All right. So in the continuing quest to get me over, Bubba had an idea of following up on our very, very popular podcast from a few weeks ago. One of the biggest I've ever had on Talk is Jericho, of the upcoming Hardys versus Team 3D final table match. And you had the idea of talking about the match after the fact, Bubba. And, we could just jump right in here. Overall, what are you guys thinking about this monumental, and I'm going to go as far as to say a classic match, and I'll give you my thoughts on it in a bit. But why don't you start off, Bully?
I know you don't do many follow-up interviews, and I know how we all felt about, doing the sit down together leading into Bound for Glory and the final stables match, and all of the feedback that I had personally heard from it. I know Matt's on social media a lot. He probably heard the same thing. People were genuinely excited for this match, and then to go in and do what we did that night and how we all felt afterwards, I thought that it would be fun for the fans to have a follow-up to how we all felt about that night, and everything that happened for it to come together, the story we told, and the ride along. This is like what is it called, an epilogue? When after the book is written and the end, and then the epilogue to the aftermath, and this is kind of the epilogue. And I'm just gonna say it, and I don't know how these guys feel, but this might be the most proud I've ever been of any piece of work that I have done or me and Devon have done together in the wrestling business, because I thought it was as close to perfect as anything that the four of us had ever achieved.
I'll jump in. I'm in agreement. I thought so as well. I mean, especially considering the fact that we've all been doing this for 30 plus years, well over 30 plus years. We've been doing this together for, this is the fourth decade, starting in the 90s. So yeah, I was really happy with it. It was great storytelling. It was an emotional. And I got to tell you, right after that, the following weekend, Jeff and I did Big Texas Comic-Con in San Antonio. It was a massive Comic-Con. So many people were there. And I can't tell you how many people came through our line, 100 probably. I mean, it felt like 1,000, but probably 100 people came through and said, I saw the match. I don't typically get pay-per-views, but I got the TNA pay-per-view to see the last Hardys Dudleys match. And it was magical. And thank you so much. I was in my feels. It made me feel emotions. It made me sad. It made me cry. But I'm so happy you guys got to do it one last time. And there were two families there, with a mom, dad, and kids that traveled from Texas, that flew to Boston to go to Louisville to Bound for Glory and bought tickets for the show. And they were super appreciative that we were there and we did it. So that was very impactful. I want to know what the buy rate was for this, because it had to be good.
Yeah. I will say this, first of all, Jeff, tell me what you thought about the match.
Oh, I agree. I thought it was pretty flawless, man. The night before, I woke up at 2:30 a.m. and I could not go back to sleep. I was so nervous about the match. My dogs were going crazy. But yeah, I was so nervous. I thought, okay, I'm not going to sleep until this match is over. So I got up and just did my meditation. Oh my God. And a painting fell on me. Oh my God.
Of all the things, how did we lose?
And then a painting fell on me, and I had this big idea. I just got through the day, and what nobody probably knows, man, we came close to doing one of the scariest, most impressive swantons of all time, but it got shut down because it was too risky, and I was scared about that, but I loved every moment of it, man. It was flawless in my opinion. I'm so glad we did it. And a buddy of mine from Germany immortalized the match in his artwork, and I just love seeing stuff like that. And we were all there together in the middle of the ring, and it was a flawless performance in my opinion as well.
A lot of guys I talk to still put off therapy because it just feels too complicated or too expensive, long wait lists, huge out-of-pocket costs. It's frustrating. And that's what keeps people from getting the help they need. That's why I want to tell you about Rula. Rula makes therapy simple, fast, and affordable. They work with most major insurance plans, and the average session copay is just $15, sometimes even zero, depending on your benefits. That's about the cost of lunch. But instead of a sandwich, you're investing in your mental health. With Rula, you're not just matched and left hanging. They connect you with licensed, vetted therapists who actually fit your goals, preferences, and location, not just whoever happens to be available. You pick the time, and you could be talking to a therapist as soon as tomorrow. They'll even help you book appointments, track your progress, and manage medication if that's part of your care. Everything is in one place. Therapy made easy with real support from start to finish. Thousands of people have already used Rula to finally get the care they need. So don't keep putting it off. Go to rula.com/Jericho and get started today. That's RULA.com/Jericho. Take the first step, get connected, and take control of your mental health. Devon, are you happy you picked up the phone when Bubba called you for one last match?
I am happy. What a way to go out. I mean, when we left WWE, I thought that was a crappy way that we left. And then the 1,000 episode, I still wasn't satisfied. And this actually got rid of everything in the basement. Anything that I had in there that I felt that I needed to get out, that was it. And for me to go out on that note, there's no reason for me to come back anymore. I think this was it. This was actually it for me. And I couldn't have done it. I couldn't have asked for anybody to do it with than Bubba, Matt, and Jeff. I really, really enjoyed the match. And I think like Jeff, the night before, I could barely go to sleep. I didn't know what to expect. Could we, outdo, or not so much outdo, but could we come in comparison to the tables match in 2000? Could we come close to it? And I think, I think we surpassed it. I think more storyline wise and the emotional build on it, I think that's what did it. That's what carried everything. And, I watched it over and over and over again, and I'm still watching it to this day because that's it for me. Everybody else is still going on, but I'm like, all right, bye. See you later. Bubba, don't call me no goddamn more.
Let me tell you what I think from my point of view, just a couple observations, then you guys can take over. As most of us, we wrestle a lot for many, many years, decades. It's pretty rare to actually watch wrestling. It's just kind of how it is. I don't think I've watched a TNA match in ages, if not this decade at all. I was so impressed. Well, first of all, you guys had a match. Wasn't even the match. It was the beginning part before you guys even locked up. It was the end part after it happened. Like that, I'm getting literal goosebumps. That's pro wrestling in its ultimate form. That's all that matters, is that emotion and that reaction. That was one thing. Two, that crowd looked huge. It looked huge. It was like a WWE level crowd, and that was amazing. And the presentation was amazing. We'll get into the match in a bit, but just talk about the crowd. And you guys have all watched the match back. I mean, it looked like a WrestleMania. It really did.
It did. I want to say this, and I'm sure the Dudleys have their own opinions, but when Jeff and I, when we came out the entrance, and we came out, we did our signature pose, and then we went back to get the ladder, to bring out the ladder in the chair. The crowd was reacting like it was a WWE top level pay-per-view. It felt like a WrestleMania crowd. The energy was off the charts. They were just so into it. People were just, they were so excited and hyped for the match. And the fact that, we have all taken so many bumps off all of our bump cards, and the people were so into it. And we got in the ring that we could have sat there and let them chant for 15 minutes. We eventually had to go ahead and get to the action and start doing things. But just the energy, the energy and emotion in that arena was palpable, and you could feel it. And that is what made this match so special.
Actually, a couple of nights before, the higher ups at TNA said, how much time do you need? In typical Bubba fashion, I told them 45 minutes. And they looked at me like I had three heads. They're like, are you serious? I said, yes, I want 45 minutes. I said, that's the amount of time we need to do this the right way. Now, I knew there was no way in hell we were getting 45 minutes, but I'd be damn happy with 30. And that's what, that's the amount of time we took and did it. It was 30. When me and Devon first came out with those tables in the old school camos, the place went ballistic. Here we are carrying the tables out. We haven't really carried tables out in a long time. So that was, that was an old school feel, the camos from WWE. And then we tried to figure out a way to come out in the camos and end the match in our tie-dyes. And we couldn't figure out a way to do it. Like, I lost sleep over this. So in order to give the people an old school throwback feel for the Dudleys, we wanted to have Spike there. And when Spike came running out and jumped into our arms, man, those people ate it up because it was nostalgia. Once again, going back to Kiss. If Kiss fans see Ace or Peter on stage with Gene and Paul, they're going to be in their feels. They're going to get emotional about it. And our little band from Dudleyville was back together again in that moment. So the Dudleys, no pun intended, set the table for the night during our entrance. And now here come the Hardys, who are doing it in 2025 better than any other tag team in the world. And they bring out ladders and chairs. And just for that one moment in time, the people got that TLC feel. Yeah. So we gave them what they wanted for that. After Mackenzie Mitchell does her incredible ring announcements, by the time the bell rings, we know we have them in the palm of our hand. The match almost becomes inconsequential, but we give them just enough. We play the hits. We do it, we did it very well. I'm proud that all four of us did our jobs to the T. And then the aftermath. I know nobody saw it coming. And I'll just kind of stop right there and let Devon pick it up from there.
It was one of those things, WrestleMania, the last WrestleMania we did in Dallas, Texas. Right before we went out, Bubba said, Devon, this is probably our last WrestleMania. So go out there and feel every bit of that 110,000 people sitting in the arena, cheering and going crazy. And I was like, because I had never done that before. I would always just go out and do my thing and not even really care about the people in terms of feeling it. And that one time I felt it. Right before we went out, I said to myself, I went back to that day when Bubba said that. I said, this is your last time. Go out there and feel it. Feel these people. Don't rush it. Take your time and take it in and just carry that moment with you. Because if this is it, this is what you got. This is what you got to go by. And that's exactly what happened. And when we got out there, we came out there with those tables, those people went ballistic. I mean, they lost their damn mind. And it was like, God, it felt like the Dudleys of old, like we didn't skip a beat or nothing. We just went out there and did what we did best. And like Bubba said, when the Hardys came out with the ladder and the chair, forget about it. It was like reminiscence of TLC all over again, unfortunately, without Edge and Christian.
Jeff, how much is it mean to you, and how cool is it when people start chanting "This is awesome" before you even lock up in a match?
Oh, it's so cool, man. And like my feelings too, going out for the match. I've never, all the years of me wrestling, I've never done purple and green in my hair. So I said, man, I might as well do this right if I'm going to do it. So that day, I put the purple with a little bit of green I had in my hair, and that's a hard DIY job. So I got that done. And I got to admit, man, I always feel pretty good when I put on a T. Riley shirt and it looks halfway decent. I look pretty good. So I was fired up about that. But yeah, before a lockup, man, when you can get that, this is awesome. I mean, that's when you know you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and it's a great feeling and experience of presence and energy from all those human beings out there.
It's interesting. Bubba and I always make analogies to music and wrestling because there's a lot of similarities. And I was thinking, like when I went to the Stones last summer, if you look at Mick up close, obviously he looks old, but on stage he looks like Mick Jagger, and Keith looks cool. They look like the Stones. And I was noticing this when I was watching a match. Yeah, of course we're all older, but it looks like the Hardys versus the Dudleys. There's not much of a change between the four of you guys. It's not like Devon came out with a white afro and it looked like it looked cool. You guys all looked great, and it was fun to see how, you know, like I said, we're all older, but it still was the essence and the look of you guys was still there.
Damn, Jericho, I wish I could
Thank
come out with a white afro.
It really was, just because, you know, everybody is still so similar to how we looked then.
Yeah.
Watching the old match back, I mean, Bub and Devon, you know, they just had shorter hair. It was very short, almost buzz cut.
Yeah.
You know, so they came out, they looked good. Jeff and I, we still look pretty similar.
Yep.
And, you know, they had their old throwbacks. We had our old throwbacks on. And there was a true feeling of nostalgia. But just on top of that, we also did so much cool stuff where we went out and we did new spots. You know, Jeff's still doing a Swanton off the top of a 12-foot ladder, standing there. You know, me going through a table, you know, D eating the table, Bubba eating a table. You know what I mean? We still went out and we delivered the goods. We had a great match. We didn't go nuts with bomb after bomb after bomb, but we hit bombs and we put them in the right place. And that mixed with storytelling, the context of everything made it. And like you said at the beginning, when they were chanting, "This is awesome," and then they started chanting Hardys and then Dudleys and then Hardys and then holy shit, you know, just being there and the crowd was so into it. The anticipation made it so much better. And then they were with every single thing we did. We took our time. We paced it the right way. We told a good story. And then, like you said, the thing at the end is what really sealed the deal for everybody, because the Dudleys were absolutely awesome in everything they did.
Let's talk about the actual match itself. And once again, there's so much to discuss here, but I love how you put together the match. It really was, you know, Bubba said a greatest hits, you know, and you did something that I've been experimenting with quite a bit in my, you know, last few years of hitting something really big right at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, you guys did the 3D right out of the gate. And I love that shit. Cause why, you know, in the way that the business is now, your finish used to be the finish and that's it. And nobody gets up from the finish. I mean, I remember Bubba no one's ever kicking out of the 3D ever. But nowadays it doesn't matter. It's just all about the excitement and the fun. And when you guys hit the 3D right out of the gate, it's like, oh, that was a really, really good idea.
Once again, back to rock and roll and Kiss. We have never started our matches. We have always built up to a finish or built up to the bigger moments or the bigger Jeff spots or the bigger table spots or Matt falling off of something. I thought this should definitely be, we're coming out swinging right out of the gate. This is Detroit Rock City. This is, you wanted the best, you got the best. Wham. I said, nobody's expecting a 3D right off the bat. Nobody's expecting the what's up right off the bat. Nobody's expecting a 3D off the table. We're going to grab them by the throat and we're never going to let go of them. And them meaning the fans. And then we'll do something where the tide turns. And yeah, you know, back in the day, you took a 3D, you laid there for about 24 hours before somebody, you know, peeled you off the mat. But, you know, Matt took a 3D and then he sold appropriately. Jeff took a 3D. He sold for minutes before he was able to get back up. So we were able to tie the old with the new again and make sure everything was sold appropriately. You know, it took Devon a while to crawl back to the ring, and everything was done with psychology in mind. And if you go, I always talk about on Busted Open, fans watching a match with their ears. You don't even have to watch with your eyes anymore. Just watch with your ears. How many times we have young wrestlers come up to us and go, "Hey, did you see my match?" And we go, "No, but it sounded great." And just by the sound of the match tells you everything you need to know. And if you watch this last table match and just listen to it, you'll know everything you need to know about how this match went.
I think too, Bubba, what you're saying from a psychology standpoint as well. I mean, anybody who's watching this go, well, we've seen the Hardys. They've been doing really well at TNA. They're the TNA World Tag Champs. They just won the NXT Tag Team titles. And the Dudleys, they haven't wrestled in a while, so we don't know where they're at. So it makes perfect sense too. The Dudleys are coming out, you know, for that early Grand Slam. They're going to take it home. They're going to go for bombs right from the beginning. So I loved how that played into it as well, and I think it totally made sense. And what you said is very true. Everybody sold stuff appropriately.
I like the fact that the last match was a table match as well, because, you know, it was the essence of kind of what you guys are known for. And you could have had a straightforward, you know, no gimmick match, but it just seemed right to use all of the plunder because it you know, you guys were the pioneers of it, and it just fit. I just felt this is the match that I want to see from these four guys.
Totally too. I mean, we created that genre. You know, us with the ladders initially, these guys with the table. So we did that too. We even, you know, specifically for Adam and Jay, for Edge and Christian, we brought that chair out and just set them down, and we got that camera shot of the chair, the table, and the ladder, because they were part of our crew. Obviously, we all made history together. But that was the way to do the match, no doubt. A table match is exactly what we need to do on that night.
Yeah, I don't think any other style of the match would have been appropriate. This was actually the way we should have went out and the way we should have done it. I mean, like I said before, the crowd ate it up. They loved it. Even the boys in the back loved it. You know, we got a standing ovation when we got to the back from just the other wrestlers in the back, you know, just appreciating what we did and the story that we told. So apparently we did something right. And, you know, again, you'll never see it again. You know, the Dudleys and the Hardys, that was it. So if you missed it, you're fresh out of luck, man, because you missed a masterpiece.
Jeff, talk about the Swanton that you weren't allowed to do, because if it's something that you say is crazy, it must have been crazy.
Yeah, I got a little video because my idea was like, okay, I'll post this, and you can see my foot step onto the railing that I would have been jumping off of to jump over one of the LED light walls, because you know you came out through that little crack between the LED walls, and it would have been kind of over and like directly down, so I wasn't sure how it was gonna, and it was very scary looking at Devon's head. I could just see his upper body, so I would have had to hit his area right below his head and his chest area, and it was going to be tough, but I felt like it was possible, but it was very, very scary. But I got a video of my foot stepping on that rail, and that's what I would have seen before I jumped. But I was kind of relieved that did get shut down, because those LED walls, I'm sure, are crazy expensive, and one of them might have came down with me. Who knows? But yeah, it was creepy. And I just want to say this too before I forget: my T. Riley shirt I took off. I didn't throw it out in the crowd like I normally do. I threw it in the entrance somewhere. So I'm assuming a fan from that night was able to get a hold of it. So I would love to know, you know, what person got that, because that's a hell of a souvenir.
Hey, Jeff, and I just want to say thank you for being scared, because I was going to be the one that's going to be on the table.
You're very welcome.
We both would have died.
They put you in all these predicaments every time.
So when Jeff got there.
I just want to say this. Thank you, and I forgive you when we were hanging. I'll never bring it up again. Thank you very much.
When Jeff was standing on the top of the rail and we're looking at this and we're trying to judge if we could pull this off, I had a table set up right where Jeff would have landed. And I looked at Devon and I said, lay on the table. And with no words, he just turns around and he just looks at me. I go, shut it the fuck and lay on the table.
Oh my God. And the more I looked at it with my redneck engineering, I was studying the setup. And I was going, oh my God, it looks like I might run directly on the leg of the table, like underneath Devon's head. But yeah, it was real sketchy. So I think it was much better that we didn't attempt that, because it would have either been my greatest Swanton ever or the Swanton that killed me.
But you know what, Jeff, in retrospect, we didn't need it.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Because your Swanton off the ladder, well, you know, painted that same picture that I believe that we originally painted, you know, years ago at TLC 2000, of seeing you on top of that ladder, you know, arms out with that wall of people just behind you. I think that that just worked out to be an even better shot.
It did, for sure.
It's amazing that even to this day, you know, with all that you guys have accomplished, all of us, we still have the ingenuity and the desire to try something new. But I think Bubba nailed it on the head. That you did not need it, and it was so much more majestic when you see Jeff Hardy on that ladder. And that, like I said, I can't stress enough how good that crowd looked. I mean, the place was packed. It's a good sized arena. And when you did the Swanton, though, did you hit your head on the back of one of the steps of the ladder?
I did, yeah. Oh, yeah, I hit it. Yeah, and I hit it hard, man. And you see my hand go immediately to the back of my head. I thought there was going to be a pool of blood. That's how bad it felt. So I felt it big time. And I've done that before. Like I hit the bottom rung, but I didn't get cut open or anything. But yeah, I got that bottom rung very good, and it got me. So it hurt. But man, I was watching it back. It just went so well for the both of us.
When I watched it back a few times, I just watched the ladder, and the ladder moves after you jump. So you know you hit that, it hit the ladder. You can tell. You watch it back.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I'll never forget whenever I came up and Jeff was there and I could see Jeff grabbing the back of his head. Jeff said, "Oh shit." Jeff said, "Am I bleeding bad? Am I bleeding bad?" I said, "Oh, let me, I don't see a lot of blood." Oh yeah, it's split pretty bad, but
Yeah.
and I think too, Jeff, I think Jeff was also trying to be very cognizant of D too. I think he wanted to try and take care of him as good as possible and tried to go down and not squash him.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you
You're very
much.
welcome.
Hell of a deal though, man. And once again, it really gives a great throwback to like WrestleMania 2000 when he did the Swanton bomb to you, Bully. It's all we needed. And also just in hindsight too, for people that were listening to that conversation earlier where Jeff was talking about jumping was where we came out. We didn't have a stage because so many tickets were sold. They threw out the stage. We just had those LED boards right out by the front. And it was probably where Jeff was going to jump off of. It was like 14, 15 feet high. It was really high. And they didn't want to take a chance of him knocking down the LED board or breaking the other ones down there with the table because they were all rented.
Yeah.
Did the ticket sales increase after your match was announced?
We were the first match they announced.
Okay.
And in the first week, they sold 4,000 tickets.
It's amazing. It looked so big. And also too, I got to give a thumbs up and a shout out to the announcers, which is Matt. What's Matt's last name? Reinhold?
Reinhold? Yeah, I think that's right.
And Tom
Hannaford.
Yeah, because he was in WWE. I forgot what his last name, but those guys did a great job in announcing and really connecting the dots of the drama and the story that you guys were telling.
They did do really well, and we were good. We were on top of everything. We talked to them beforehand. We said, this is kind of what's going down. This is kind of how we want you to lay it out, just to give you a little insight, just to try and make your call be even a little better, because we want to do everything we can to like optimize this match.
Yeah.
And speaking of, talking to them about the laying out, we also spoke to them about laying out and not saying a word during the final scenes of the match, which we wanted to be completely different. It didn't end in typical Hardy fashion.
No.
But it ended the way the story should have ended. It was about a warrior's death. One warrior goes down. Devon went down to the old school Hardy way of the Swanton off the ladder. And, and Bubba was going to go down, with him just getting his ass handed to them and then looking at them and acknowledging what my fate was. I'm standing there and there's two Hardys in front of me with steel chairs. I turn around and my partner's, half a mile away, put through two tables. I have a table behind me, live by the table, die by the table. And I just knew it was my time. And the Hardys, they could have cracked me in the head with those chairs, but they didn't. They laid the chairs down, they grabbed me, and they killed me with the gimmick that made us famous in the first place. It's full circle storytelling, and I challenge anybody on the planet to tell me any different.
I love that finish. I was surprised at first because I was looking at how long Bubba sent me the match, and it was like 40 minutes or so. And like we said, the first 10 was emotion, and I was expecting another 10 minutes, but the last 10 was emotion. So when it came, I had to watch it again. And like you said, to see the story being told, it's a modern day version of Sean and Flair. I love you, and then kills them, right? And that's basically what they did. And what an amazing finish. Was that the only finish that you guys considered doing?
Yeah, well, it was the main finish. We wanted a finish to be similar to that. We did have a little debate, and I was just thinking about how the live crowd was going to react if we didn't, if we did something spectacular when D went through a table. Do we need to follow it up with something somewhat spectacular to Bully as well? And that this was Bully's original idea, and he was relying very heavily on the storytelling aspect, which I loved, and I thought that told the story 100%, absolutely great. And then I was just like, I want to make sure the live crowd though is satisfied with whatever we do at the end. And then we were kind of going back and forth, and we said, okay, let's just play into the story, because what we're doing afterwards at the end, when the Dudleys do something that have never been done before, it's definitely going to follow on that story, and it makes the story make even more sense in some ways. And when you think of it like that, even if it was where I did a leg drop off the roof and put Bully through a table, whatever. I mean, what's going to stick in everyone's minds is what happens right afterwards. So that's about kind of, it was very much interchangeable. And the way we did it was just basic storytelling. I loved how we see him the time is right. He accepts his fate. We throw the chairs down. Okay, we'll do it. Boom. You know, we don't necessarily love doing it. We don't want to do it, but we have to do it because we're going on. We still have more left to do. Boom. You know, it was great storytelling.
Very excellent. And you said something in the pre-match video, Bubba. I can't remember the exact quote, but you said you hate fake emotion or planned emotion, or do you recall what you said there?
I don't like things that are not real in pro wrestling anymore. I think everything is so scripted and watered down and vanilla and predictable. That's the last thing I wanted. I knew if the four of us went out there and did what we do, we were going to get real natural emotion on the tail end. If you look, the people don't sit down the entire night. From the Dudleys entrance till the Hardys leave the ring, the people are on their feet the whole time. If you go back and you listen to the looks, if you go and look at the looks on their faces, the standing ovation, people crying. I don't remember if I said it on our first chat together. I believe I did. But the object of this, the end of this story, was tears. I wanted, Devon wanted, Matt wanted, Jeff wanted for people to cry. And there's that one moment in time in the middle of the ring where this memory, this, if not more memories, but this one in particular will live forever, of the four of us hugging. I have my head on Matt's chest. Devon has his head on Matt's chest. Jeff has his head on my shoulder. You're not getting that anymore. No two teams will be as synonymous or mean as much to each other as these two teams right now. And that shot alone made people cry and will live for another 25 years.
The kind of one of the final scenes after that is you guys both take off your boots, give them to the Hardys. Matt and Jeff, did you know that they were going to do that?
No, I had no idea, and we didn't want to know. So
yeah, we
didn't
want to know. They had something great in mind, and we didn't want to know. The more natural, the better, because just like Bully said a minute ago, so much stuff in pro wrestling is overproduced in this day and age. I'm sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
No, that's all. Yeah, I was just gonna say we didn't know.
So, what was the thought behind that, Devon, and taking off the boots and handing them to the Hardys?
To me, the way I looked at it is that, you know, they conquered it. They finally got they're the best. It's like we're passing the torch to them, although they don't need the torch to be passed. But it's like, all right, you guys are the greatest now. You beat the greatest. Now here you go. And it's kind of like when you go to war. It's like, you know, like an African warrior. He goes to war. When he gets conquered, what does he do? He gives his sword or he gives his spear or what have you to the victor. That's exactly what we did. We gave our boots. And for me, it signified that taking the boots off, that was it. You know, you got it. That's it. It's over. But to me, it was just almost in the sense of passing the torch in a sense. Again, not that they needed to be having the torch passed, but for us, you know, we had the title of being the greatest tag team. Now you guys are the greatest tag team.
Chris, with all of your, I'm sorry, who was going to say something?
I was going to say this real quick. There was a cool moment backstage when we still had their boots, and I asked Matt, I was like, "Oh, is this the thing?" And Matt said, "It is now." And I was like, "Oh, wow, okay." So that was a very cool backstage moment for me.
Well, the great part about it is I had asked Bubba early on. I go, "Are we still taking our boots off in the middle of the ring?" And, you know, to say that, you know, we're done. And he goes, "No, we're not doing it anymore. We scratched it." I was like, all right. So some time went by, and he comes to me, he goes, "Devon," he goes, "We're going to do this, this, this. Oh, by the way, we're going to take our boots off and give it to Matt and Jeff." I was like, "Oh, we are?" He goes, "Yeah, just don't tell them. They don't know about it." I was like, "Oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good."
Chris, with all the time that you've spent in Japan, when you started off with War, all the way up to your last run with New Japan, with all the respect that they have over there, have you ever seen a wrestler hand another wrestler their boots?
I was thinking about it, and I don't think I've seen guys take off their boots symbolically and leave them in the ring. And I know that Dynamite Kid gave Benoit his boots at some point, but not in the ring either. I can't remember. I mean, I'm sure it might have happened at some point, but if it has, I can't remember it, and definitely not at this level.
I racked my brain.
Yeah,
because I knew I knew what I wanted the final scene to be. And to Matt's point earlier about Matt was concerned that after the Swanton, what we were going to do in the ring might not be able to capture the, you know, the excitement, the emotion of what Jeff just did. I was pretty confident in the story, and eventually we agreed on it. But I knew what the safety net was. The safety net of everything was the boots. And I was really the only one that knew. Devon knew, because we didn't tell the Hardys what we're going to do. I said, it's customary to take your boots off and leave them in the ring. But wrestling fans have seen that. It's nothing new. It's nothing different. What wrestling fans have never seen, ever, 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 is for a wrestler or a tag team to take off their boots and hand them over to the guys that conquered them in their own match. And I thought that's another moment that I think will live forever, and nobody's ever done it before. And we pride ourselves in doing things that have never been done before. And in an age of wrestling where nobody remembers anything, we have forced them to once again remember the Hardys and the Dudleys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it goes back to what we were talking, the debate that Jeff was having about doing the Swanton off the lighting rig or whatever it may be. It's it wouldn't have mattered. It's like either one was the same, because it was the end and the emotion. And like I said, I think I mentioned this in the first chat we had when we had the Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in their retirement match. And you had these, even before that, was that Shawn's retirement match? I think it was, but they had two in a row. And the reason why it was so huge is because you have these two guys, legendary, iconic guys, that are facing each other for probably the last time. And that's the biggest. I don't even remember what even happened in that match. I just remember the emotion and the feeling, and it's one of my all-time favorite matches, and I can't even name a spot from it. It's almost the same with you guys. I just watched it, but I'll always remember that finish and the boot passing and Jeff hitting his head on the ladder. But other than that, it's the emotion, and that's kind of what it's all about. It's so amazing to me how it doesn't matter if it's the 40s, 50s, 60s, or 2025. The most important thing about wrestling is still the emotion and the story.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And and again, I'm not going to touch on it too much, but for me, it was very special. Like I said earlier on in the beginning, here it is. I had back surgery. I had 3 discs fused, and a year before that, I had a stroke.
Wow.
I only had 50% on my left side.
No shit.
That was it. And it was kind of like, will I ever be able to bounce back from that? If the phone call when I was in the hotel room at the time in California, if it would have been a minute later, you and I, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. I'd have been in a nursing home or I'd have been dead.
Why is that?
That's how, because of the fact that the timing of it, in terms of when the phone call was made, when the stroke was, because I didn't even know I had a stroke. I got up to go to the bathroom and I couldn't walk. I couldn't feel my legs. And, finally somebody said, "You're having a stroke." I was like, "I'm not having a stroke. I'm too young to have a stroke." At the time I was like 47, 48. I was like, "No, you're having a stroke. I'm telling you, these are the signs." And he was like, "I'm calling downstairs to have them come upstairs and get you." I was like, "Don't do that. I'm not opening the door." Finally, I was being stubborn. And finally I said, "You know what, Devon, if you're having a stroke, just let them come in." So they knocked on the door and they were like, "Mr. Hughes, we were told that you're probably having a stroke. Can you open the door?" I said, "I can't. You guys have to come in." They had to bust the door open to come get me. And this is what I'm saying. It was so emotional for me, because stroke, and then 6 months later having back surgery, and now to train for this type of match and to come back and to be able to do that, that just gave me everything I needed.
When you talk about the Dudleys as a team, and now we know for sure that Devon is done. I'm not sure what Bubba's plans are. We can discuss that. But I loved the ring announcement, and she did a great job as well. She didn't like it when you put the sunglasses on her, though. She's listing every major promotion, tag team champions of WWE, WWF, WCW, NWA, New Japan Pro Wrestling. I mean, you name it. And the Dudleys have accomplished it. How do you feel about that, Bubba? I mean, when you hear that and think about it and realize that there, is not going to be another Dudleys match, kind of talk about that.
There doesn't need to be another Dudleys match. Me and Devon conquered tag team wrestling. End of story. We did everything that you can possibly do. There's no more goals. There's no more aspirations. There's no more, hey, we got to go do this show or work with this team or go work in this arena. Like, we've truly done it all. I can tell, I don't know what it would. If the WWE called tomorrow and said, "Hey, you guys want to do Hardy's Dudleys in the WWE?" Not really.
No.
Why? I don't think we can talk, because what we did at Bound for Glory was so pure, because it was just the four of us. Nobody else got involved. Nobody else was allowed to get involved, or I would have dealt with them myself. Nobody was allowed to get involved with this other than us four. And that's as brutally honest as it gets. Like, Chris, you'll understand this. Writing a song, listen, I had a vision for this, right?
Mhm.
And then I bring it to Devon, and Devon's on board. Then I really bring it to Matt, and Matt helps me flush the song out. And Matt says, let's do this. And then we know we're just going to throw it to Jeff to do a crazy ass solo. And that's how it all comes together. This was our stairway to heaven. That's the best way I can put it.
It was an authentic moment, and it's very rare that you get those in pro wrestling nowadays. That's why it can't be replicated, because that was an authentic moment in a single instance in time.
If this was done I'm just saying the WWE, because in WWE you can't just do what you want to do. Chris, you know damn well that somebody would have put their 2 cents in.
That's right.
And then you have to politically be like, well, I don't know. We had a different vision. And, well, let me go talk to this guy. And then, well, we originally gave you 30, but now you have 25. This was exactly the way the four of us wanted, with no outside noise, no outside interference. And the only time there was even a hint of a discussion is when me and Matt started talking about the finish of the match. And that discussion lasted about 5 or 10 minutes. And that was it. And nobody's going to be able to come to an agreement between the four of us like the four of us can. So Jeff, would you agree with that? Devon, would you agree with that?
I agree. I don't think it would have ever been able to, we would never been able to do what we did in TNA Bound for Glory in WWE. I'm sorry. I just don't think so.
And Devon's a former producer for 8 years.
Yeah, there's no way, because like Bubba said, there would have been so many people trying to put their 2 cents into what we were doing. And I think time would have been an issue too. Yeah. Bound for, TNA, it was almost like they built this around us in a sense. The Dudleys and the Hardys in the last match, they knew how important this was. With WWE, there's so many other things that they feel that's important. I think we would have got lost. I don't think it would have been as special as it would have been in TNA. I don't think it would have been as special in WWE like that.
Like you said, everybody here has worked at WWE. I mean, we get to go out there, the four of us, we get to craft, we get to forge this match, just the four of us, with our ideas, the way we want to do it, without any outside interference. And then, like, we go tell our producer, this is what we're doing. And that's how it went. And we couldn't have done that at WWE. It just is what it is. WWE they're gonna have to have their say in it.
Just on a side note, full credit and thank you to the WWE for promoting the match
absolutely
the way they did.
Absolutely.
The WWE did go above and beyond the call of duty. And I'm not bashing them. I'm just being factual that we couldn't have done it.
It's true.
This way. Yeah. But they went above and beyond, announcing the match at SummerSlam, having both teams in the front row. Michael Cole announcing this match before TNA even announced the match, and then inviting us to NXT to see the Hardys defeat Dark State. Talking about whatever the WWE did to inject their 2 cents into getting the word out about this match, I think the four of us are extremely grateful for.
Absolutely.
And WWE, they've been so great to myself and Jeff in the time that we've worked with them. The reason they decided to have us win the NXT Tag Team titles was to make the Bound for Glory match seem even bigger, to put buzz around us. We win these, and oh my God, these guys are even solidifying their legacy more. And now they're going into this final match with the Dudleys. And it really did, we did a massive walk up that day, in addition to all the pre-sales that were going on at Bound for Glory too. And Bound for Glory, whether it pisses people off or not, I mean, the match that sold this joint out was the Hardys Dudleys. And nostalgia is a hell of a deal, no doubt. But we came in there with some modern day, accurate, good storytelling and emotional investment that got people tuned into this match.
It was more than nostalgia, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But without WWE, we wouldn't have sold as many tickets as we did. You know, those guys promoting it at SummerSlam, having us there, having us win the NXT tag team titles. Very grateful for them in this partnership. They've been a great partner thus far.
I think it was great forum for you guys to have in TNA, and the fact that like it was reciprocal though. Like I mentioned, no disrespect, but I wouldn't watch an Impact match. I just don't have enough hours in the day to watch more wrestling. But now I watched TNA and I was like, these guys are doing something really cool here. Which once again, the more companies there are for the boys to work, the better it is. And TNA has always kind of been just there for me. But now we talked about this last show we did. There's some buzz and there's some momentum. And there was, I don't know, 8,000 people, 10,000 people, whatever the number was. It looked like there was 20. And it was a full jam-packed arena to see you guys do this match. And this was not the main event. There was another match afterwards, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Who followed it?
Mike Santana.
Well, the match that came after us. I don't know if they followed it, but they came after.
was Santana versus
Trig Williams, who had been holding the TNA title hostage from NXT, wrestled Mike Santana. Mike Santana finally brought it back home.
See, so there you go. And once again, you can't follow this match, but I know Santana very well, and I'm sure he was happy to give it a try. And I'm sure him winning that title in front of that crowd. So then you have the nostalgia, which is not nostalgia, but you got the match of you guys. Then you got a new young guy who now had the biggest match of his career, probably in front of one of the biggest crowds of his career.
And probably the biggest pay-per-view crowd of his career as well.
Right. And that's another example of what wrestling's all about. You guys, Diva mentioned passing the torch to the Hardys. All four of you passed the torch to the guys and girls in TNA and to Santana winning the title, and everybody wins. Everybody's happy.
Yeah.
As we start to wind down, Bubba, what happens next for you now? Will you still work from time to time? And taking off your boots is a very symbolic gesture, and it could be just the Dudley boots. But what kind of thoughts do you have?
It's a great question, but what I'd like to do is ask you a question first. What's next for Chris Jericho in a wrestling ring?
Wow. Well, I'm just going to give it my all and give it 100% and just see what happens, brother.
Here's
Bubba, team CG 3D.
Here's what I know. Here's what I know for sure. The Dudleys Team 3D had an epic run. Me and Devon are happy. We can close the door on it, knowing that we went out our way. And that's it. As far as Bully Ray is concerned, if somebody were to come with me with something that sounded good, that I could sink my teeth into, a great story with somebody that could be made on the back end, I would listen to. But as far as any desire to do anything where I have to go do this, no. The last thing I had to do was make sure the Dudleys and the Hardys were in the ring one last time so we could close the book on what is the most epic tag team rivalry of the past 25 years.
Devon, what are you going to do now that you're done and your boots are hung up?
Well, hopefully they'll get you on my YouTube channel when the time is right. I'm calling you out.
I promise I will do it.
No, I got the YouTube channel. I got the wrestling school. I got my detailing business in West Palm Beach. And finally the cigars that I have coming out, they're finally coming out now. So, hopefully I can just relax and be with the family and just do what I do best. That's just take care of my babies.
You're going to open up Devon's lemonade stand, the second stage?
You know what? I may do that. I was thinking about it. My daughter's old enough to go out there, and I told her, listen, $15 for a glass of lemonade.
Yeah.
I figured we can make a fortune.
Matt and Jeff, I was going to say too earlier, there's a little nostalgia, but you come out there and delete, and that's a new hit for you guys.
Sure.
You've created this another amazing legendary tag team. You've done your own things. You're back together now. You're helping TNA resurge. You're on NXT. What comes next for you guys, and what what keeps you guys still going and being so in love with pro wrestling?
Oh man, just from like looking at Bound for Glory last year and then seeing it this year coming out through that entrance, man, and seeing that sea of human beings, man, that just meant everything to me. And it again, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And me and Matt being in TNA and helping it grow, it feels so good to be valuable again, and feel like we're doing something. We're actually a part of something as far as growth and evolution. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next few years, man, just helping TNA get as big as they possibly can. And then we'll see what happens next. But one thing I wanted to mention before I forget, there was a little undone work left over in the ring after the match, and it was the table that was in the corner vertical, and I drop kicked it and broke it in half, and that was simply from my love of professional wrestling, man. And I was so proud of that match, and I just felt like I had to do it. So and I was glad I did it. I saw the clip back recently on social media, and it was a Jeff Hardy moment for sure.
No table shall remain unscathed.
That was very Sabu of you, Jeff.
Yeah,
just real quick, you mentioned social media, which can be quite toxic and quite negative. And me and Matt were talking about this. Yeah. The overwhelming positive feedback on social media to this 3-month story, this final table match, exactly what you witnessed at Bound for Glory, Chris, over the top positive. Mm-hmm. To the point where you start saying to yourself, wow, maybe we did do something real special, because it's really easy to turn on Twitter and just see a bunch of, bunch of know-it-alls who know nothing at all, just taking shots at you. And I did not see that almost at all. So I know the vast majority of wrestling fans were real happy with what we were able to give them.
You said it was a 5-star match, and it was. It was a 5-star match. And any wrestling fan that doesn't understand why it's a 5-star match doesn't really know a lot about wrestling, because once again, we've been stressing this the whole time. It's all about the emotion. That's what wrestling has always been, and it always will be. Yeah, absolutely. 5 stars, no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. Matt, I want you to answer too, kind of the question I asked before about your love of wrestling and what keeps you continuing forward.
It's just it's one of those things that both myself and Jeff are very passionate for it. As kids, it was our dream to be one of these crazy living, breathing superheroes that are known as pro wrestlers. And we're taking great care of ourselves right now. We're big cold plunge, ice bath junkies, obviously. Yeah. And we do that every day. Can't stop it. It's great. It's cooling off now. We can jump in the pool, actually. It's cold enough. But between doing that and just feeling good, we can go to TNA. And I feel like, when we first broke in the 90s, all of us, guys weren't as quick to like give back and try and build other talents back then, the guys who were on top. And now Jeff and I, we take a lot of pride. There's a lot of young guys that we can help. We can help elevate. We can bring up just working with them or being associated with them. Leon Slater is a guy who's a great example. And with TNA right now, we're so close to getting a TV deal finalized, which is going to be a massive deal for TNA, and something it needs, because as you said before, Chris, the more wrestling companies that are out there that have more eyeballs on them, the better it is for all wrestlers, all the people who work backstage, everybody involved in the entire industry. So yeah, we feel really good about contributing and giving back, but also being able to be in a position where we feel valuable. We feel like we're valued. We feel like we're being put in spots to succeed. And it's just been fun. It's been fun and great and easy. And it's still us living our dream. We're making money doing something that we would probably do for free because we love it. So it's one of those things. And that's when pro wrestling is the absolute best.
Last question for you guys. What was your favorite moment of this match? Before, during, after? I'll start with mine as you guys are thinking. When I put up the first show, which did monster numbers, I always put up when it passes 100,000 views on YouTube, and I asked Bubba for a picture, but I found one online of the 4 of you guys. We discussed all arm in arm, head and head. It was just such a great picture of 4 friends, but also 4 of the greats, all-time greats. And once again, I can't stress enough, just the emotion and just this picture. That picture says 1,000 words. This picture said 10,000 words. That was my favorite moment of the whole match by far. Devon, do you have a favorite moment that stands out for you?
That was it. I mean, to know that we had accomplished what we had to accomplish for that match, and know that all the training that I did, and I'm sure I can speak for everybody else, in terms of what I had to go to put myself through to get ready for this match, it was finally over. And we accomplished exactly what we set out to do. And that was get that emotional feeling from everybody, make people cry, make people happy. And, it was it. And that final hug at the end will always be remembered during that match more than anything.
What do you think, Matt?
It's hard not to go with that moment, because that moment really was special, and it was very real. As we're in here, we're embracing these guys. The hugs were real, the emotion was real, the sadness was real to a degree that this is the last time we did it, but also the happiness was very real. That we went out and we gave people an amazing memory to never forget this incredible rivalry. Very, very special, man. Because like you said, not only are we four professionals who've worked together for decades, we're four friends who love each other, and that was a special moment. It's hard to top that. The other thing that was special was when we came out and we had the crowd in the palm of our hand, and they were just chanting over and over, and eventually everybody was kind of on like, okay, how long are we going to let this go? We'll make a decision. We've got to go ahead and get into the action. But that was special too, because the crowd was that emotionally invested into the four of us. So that was also a very special moment.
What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I would say that moment at the end, just four brothers in there who had truly transformed professional wrestling, to what it is today. And that's just, it's so special, man. These guys are within my heart and mind forever, man. And I'm so proud of all the TLC matches from back in the day. And to be a part of that was just heartwarming and special, and super proud to be a part of it.
You guys are all going left with this picture as the favorite memory. I would love to go right and be different than everybody else, but I can't, because that picture pretty much sums up not just that night, but a 25-year rivalry.
Yeah.
I said at the beginning of this, we said at the beginning of this, 25 years ago, we gave you memories that are still talked about today. And when this match is over, we're going to give you another 25 years of memories. And that picture in and of itself will be talked about for a long time, because there are no two tag teams on the planet that in the past 25 years have accomplished what the Hardys and the Dudleys have accomplished. That's not me tooting our horn. It's just fact. And I don't think there'll be another two teams that'll do it in the future. So that picture of warriors, of friends who have competed with one another their entire careers, and who have made so much magic together their entire careers. We came together and did it one last time in a way that nobody thought could be done, far exceeding expectations of even maybe ourselves. In our hearts, we knew what we were capable of, but hey, we're older. Can we still pull it off in a way that people can remember 25 years ago? And in some way, shape, or form, we topped what we did. So that picture is my favorite memory of that night.
Well, congratulations, guys, on a classic match, a classic rivalry. And once again, I thank you as a wrestling fan and as a peer. And I look forward to seeing all of you and seeing all of what you do. And once again, congratulations on a job well done.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thank you,
guys.
Thanks, guys.
I'll see you soon.
All right.
Yes, sir.